Nobody told us any of this in the brochure. There is a brochure. Several, actually. Shackleton Base produces them every 2 years, glossy and optimistic, full of photographs of people in clean jumpsuits looking purposefully at screens. The brochures describe the base as humanity's most ambitious permanent settlement. They use the phrase frontier spirit 3 times per page. They feature a photograph of the amber sky over the regolith plains. If you look at it long enough, could almost pass for a nice morning somewhere in Arizona. What the brochures do not mention, and I have read all of them, cover to cover, because there is not much else to do on a 14-month transit rotation, is any of the following. If you are new here, subscribe, because this is the part they leave out. The morning problem. The moon does not have mornings. Not in the way Earth has mornings. On Earth, morning is a fact. The sun rises, the sky does a thing, your body knows. On the moon, the local day lasts approximately 29.5 Earth days, which means the sun rises once a month, hangs in the sky for 2 weeks, and then sets for another 2 weeks. There is no ambient cue. There is no gradual brightening through the window. There is no window in most sections. There is, instead, a lighting system that cycles through a 24-hour simulation of Earth daylight. This system works perfectly and is completely unconvincing every human nervous system that has ever encountered it. The result is that roughly 60% of the base population reports feeling, at any given moment, that it is probably around 2 in the afternoon, regardless of what the clock says. The remaining 40% have stopped believing in time entirely and simply work until they stop working. Medical Officer Okonkwo's quarterly wellness report for 2046 contains the line, "The concept of a good night's sleep has become theoretical for approximately 1/3 of residents. We are monitoring this." The 2047 report contains the line, "We are still monitoring this." The 2048 report says only, "See previous report." His 2049 report, filed at what the log records as 347, does not mention sleep at all. It is a detailed and unexpectedly passionate 3-page argument for why the base should grow actual sunflowers. The outside problem. On Earth, when you are having a bad day, you can go outside. You can get some air, walk around, change your environment. This is, it turns out, one of the most psychologically important features of a planet, and one that nobody thinks about until they are living somewhere that doesn't have it. On Shackleton Base, outside requires approximately 45 minutes of preparation, a certified suit technician, assigned activity form submitted at least 6 hours in advance, a buddy, and a weather assessment. That, because there is no weather, is actually an assessment of solar radiation levels, micrometeorite probability, and whether any surface maintenance vehicles are currently operating in your vicinity. You can go outside. People do go outside, but you cannot. When the day is getting to you, simply step out for a moment to clear your head. The clearing your head equivalent on the moon is standing in the larger of the 2 observation lounges and looking at the surface through a meter of reinforced glass for a while. It helps somewhat. It would help more if it weren't a shared space that seats 12, and is almost always occupied by at least 8 people also trying to clear their heads. In 2045, the base installed a 2nd observation lounge. It was immediately full. There is now a wait list. The smell. Nobody in any official capacity will confirm this, but new arrivals from Earth smell, not badly, not like they haven't bathed. They smell like Earth, a particular combination of open air and unrecycled atmosphere, and something green and biological that the long-term residents cannot name because they've forgotten it, but that hits them the moment a new transit pod docks. The base has no official policy on this. The unofficial policy, observed consistently since at least 2039, is that long-term residents will find reasons to stand near new arrivals for the first day or 2, not obtrusively, just nearby, taking their time with a conversation, sitting at the same table in the cafeteria. It has the quality of something nobody discusses directly, but everyone participates in. The way people in a cold office all gradually migrate toward the one sunny window without acknowledging that this is what they're doing. Dr. Yua Nakamura, material scientist, who has lived on the base since 2041, and was the subject of a separate incident report involving a cat. Described it this way in an interview: "It's not a sad thing. It's more like you don't realize you've been missing something until it walks through the airlock and suddenly you remember that outside smells like outside." She paused. "And then it goes away after a few days because they start smelling like recycled air like the rest of us. And everything goes back to normal." Another pause. "It's a little sad, actually." The food situation. The food on Shackleton Base is fine. This is the best thing that can be said about it, and the base nutritionists say it regularly, and with the particular energy of people who are working very hard to believe it. The cafeteria operates on a 14-day rotating menu, which was designed to provide complete nutritional coverage while maximizing variety. The menu includes 42 distinct dishes. After approximately 3 months, residents have eaten every combination of those 42 dishes in every possible sequence, and the menu has ceased to feel like variety and begun to feel like a cycle of mild disappointment with the 2-week interval. The most coveted food items on the base are not what you would expect. They are not luxury goods. They are fresh bread, specifically the kind with the crust, which the base bakery produces twice a week, and which is gone within 40 minutes of coming out of the oven. Anything containing real lemon, and a specific brand of instant noodles that arrived in a personal cargo shipment in 2044 and was consumed by the wrong person and has been referenced in a grudge that shows no signs of resolving. There is a point, somewhere around the 8-month mark for most residents, at which they begin describing food from Earth in the tone normally reserved for religious experiences. Long-term resident and mechanical engineer Pavel Sorokin, in his 11th year on the base, was asked in a recorded interview what he missed most about Earth. He was quiet for a long time. "Bread," he said. "But the other kind?" He was asked to clarify. "You know," he said, "the real kind." He was asked what made it different from the base bread. He looked at the interviewer with an expression that suggested the question had revealed something fundamental about the gap between their experiences. "I don't know how to explain it to you," he said gently. "I hope you never have to understand." The social geometry. Shackleton Base has a permanent population of approximately 2,000 people. This is a large number in the abstract. In practice, given that those 2,000 people share the same corridors, the same cafeteria, the same recreation facilities, the same 14-day rotating menu, and the same 45-minute process for going outside, it functions more like a very well-organized small town, where everyone has already met everyone, and there are no new people except the ones who arrive every 8 months on the transit vessel and are immediately visible because they smell like Earth. The dating situation is, as a consequence, complicated in ways that the base psychologists have written several papers about and that the residents describe in blunter terms. "You know how in a small town," one resident told me, "there's that period where everyone has dated everyone and sorted out all the possible combinations and reached a kind of equilibrium." A pause. "We reached that in about 2043. It's fine now. Everything is fine. We don't talk about 2043. The 2043 incident reports have been cross-referenced. There are a lot of them. They do not seem to involve any specific emergency. They are simply a large number of very short entries, each describing a situation that appears to have resolved itself, logged by someone who sounds like they needed to write it down." The tourist. In 2048, Shackleton Base received its first paying tourist. This was a significant milestone and was covered extensively by Earth media, which focused on the historic nature of the occasion and the passenger's reported sense of wonder, and the photographs he took through the observation lounge window. What received less coverage was the logistical reality of hosting a paying tourist in a facility designed exclusively for trained personnel. The tourist, a software entrepreneur named Marcus Webb, arrived having read the brochures carefully and with a clear vision of what his experience would involve. That vision included a spacewalk, which requires months of training, and which he had not completed. It included a tour of the agricultural hub, which requires a biosecurity clearance he did not have. It included dinner at what he described as the best restaurant on the moon, which does not exist. There is only the cafeteria, which was on day 9 of the 14-day rotation, which is Meatloaf Day. He ate the meatloaf. He looked out the observation lounge window for a long time. He was, by all accounts, genuinely moved. It changes you, he told the journalist who interviewed him on his return. Being up there, looking down at Earth, knowing you're somewhere that humans almost aren't. You feel I don't know, small, but in a good way. Long-term resident Pavel Sorokin, reading this interview in the base common room, nodded slowly. Yeah, he said to no one in particular. That part's real. He went back to his meatloaf. The brochures will keep being printed. They will keep being glossy and optimistic. They will keep using the phrase, frontier spirit, and they will keep featuring that photograph of the amber sky, and new people will keep arriving on the transit vessel, smelling like Earth for a few days before the recycled air takes over, and the base will keep running on its 14-day menu, and its simulated mornings and its waiting list for the observation lounge, and the log will keep filling up with incident reports. False alarm, cat. See previous report. The concept of a good night's sleep has become theoretical. They are still monitoring it. This is what it looks like from the inside. Nobody puts it in the brochure because nobody who writes brochures has lived here long enough to know it. But the people who have lived here long enough, the ones who can't explain what makes Earthbread different, the ones who stand near new arrivals for the first 2 days, the ones who are still monitoring it, they wouldn't trade it. Mostly. Ask them on a day that isn't Meatloaf Day. Subscribe for the next one. One more thing. There is a tradition on Shackleton Base that nobody established and nobody officially maintains. But that has been observed continuously, without interruption, since approximately 2036. When someone leaves, when their rotation ends, or their contract expires, or they're going back to Earth for medical reasons, or they simply made it to the end and are done, there is a thing that happens in the departure corridor near Airlock 7. People show up, not in any organized way. Nobody sends an invitation. Nobody posts a reminder, but by the time the person has their gear together and is walking to the lock, there are usually 40 or 50 people in that corridor, sometimes more, standing around. The way people stand when there's no ceremony. But something is happening anyway. There are no speeches. There is sometimes a joke. There is usually an awkward moment where everyone is trying to express something that doesn't quite fit into words. This specific mix of goodbye and congratulations and something else. Something that has to do with shared time in a place that takes effort to live in. And then the person goes through the lock, and everyone goes back to their shift, and the corridor is empty again, and the log records nothing because nothing officially happened. Marcus Webb, the tourist, saw this on his way out. He asked someone standing nearby what was going on. Someone's going home, the person said. He assumed they meant back to Earth. He might have been right. He might not have been. That part depends on how long you've been here.